Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. Hello and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription. I'm your host, Matthew Holman, and this is the podcast where we talk about everything related to D2C subscriptions. On this week's dose, we're going to be talking about cancellation flows. Specifically, I'm going to talk about some of the more popular subscription apps out there, what their cancellation flow experiences are like, and if you're on that platform, what you should be doing to maximize its strengths. We'll talk a little bit about weaknesses. This isn't necessarily a review program about cancellation flow features inside of these apps, but rather trying to give you some best practices to keep in mind, although I will be breaking down some of what I think about each of these platforms' cancellation flows. So kind of to jump right into it, the platforms that I'm going to be talking about are Recharge, Stay AI, SKIO, and Loop. These are some of the more talked about and common platforms, especially when I get requests about information, like what do I think about so-and-so, yada, yada. It's generally one of these four that are included in that. So let's start with Recharge first. They are the largest subscription app in the space. They've been doing a ton to innovate inside the cancellation flow experience. One of the things I want to point out is that Recharge has got some really great features related to their AI and basically giving you insights to the other option. So as we all know, within subscriptions, there's often an other. People will then go on a long rant about something related to their product, maybe their grandma, their next door neighbor. You never really know until you start going through those other reasons. Now, Recharge has basically got an AI that's sitting on top of that and is going through those other reasons for you to try to lend insights. So you can see that right away. You do need to have a certain number of responses. So if you're really, really small still, you might not see, or it might just tell you, hey, we don't have enough data to report on this. But that's a really great place to look at customer sentiment, look at some general things that people are telling you. Something that I often recommend for everybody when you're thinking about this is to go through your other reasons regularly, because you might start to notice a trend in something that you should be creating a specific reason for. So for example, if people start complaining about the flavor, the taste of one of your flavors, right? You could, and you don't have a I didn't like the taste cancellation reason, you could put in a I didn't like the taste reason so that you could offer a swap to a different flavor, right? So that's some of the benefits of going through your other responses. So Recharge has an AI that sits on top of that. One of the things too I love Recharge is when you're setting up those, they have pretty good actions across the board. So depending on what cancellation reason somebody selects, you have a few different options available to you, whether you want to do a discount or a delay in discount, swap. I do like how much control you have over the cancellation experience itself. Now, nowadays, it's fairly standard, but not too long ago, it was really hard to start editing all the copy and content around all your cancellation reasons. But if you are on Recharge, one of the things I suggest doing is make sure that you invest in putting up a founder-led splash screen video. So this is going to show when somebody goes to cancel, they're going to see that video before they proceed into the rest of the cancellation flow. Regardless of what platform you're on, you should be doing that. It's incredibly, incredibly impactful. You want to be doing that. You also want to be adjusting your content and copy throughout the cancellation flow experience. Some of the things that I think that if you're, depending on your size, you should start looking at leveraging A/B testing within Recharge or putting in filters or segments. So with the A/B testing, something really simple we do kind of across the board, actually. So if you have more than just even a few hundred subscriptions, you should be running A/B tests. So some really common A/B tests we'll do is, say we'll have a cancellation flow. We'll just copy that down to the other node, and then we will change, say, a couple of the discount options to gift options. So instead of not canceling for a discount, you can not cancel for a gift. You can also use that to A/B test against copy. You could A/B test against a video or not, or different types of videos. But I highly recommend having some running tests for that. And then you can keep it simple, keep it straightforward, discounting versus gifts, aggressive discounts versus not. One thing I do like testing as well is looking at, do you do a steep one-time discount or a less steep recurring discount? So for example, 50% off your next order or 25% off your next 2 orders. That's something, again, you can really easily A/B test inside of that recharge experience. You can also do some things where you're creating triggers or more like segmenting. So people that are on 2 or more orders, people that have spent a certain amount of money with you, people that are on certain products. Again, if you're under a few thousand in subs, or if you're at a few thousand subs or under, I would not worry too much about this, because you're fine tuning something where maybe you're not going to see necessarily a ton of value for. However, once you grow past that, it's good to start looking at different types of experiences you want to offer. A really common one is being more aggressive with discounting for people that have been around longer. They know your product, they love your product. You're potentially missing out on several more orders from them if that is the reason. So you can be more aggressive with discounting for them. Or depending on the product, you could change some of the cancellation reasons and options that you have available to them, right? Okay, so as a recap, again, recharge, make sure you're looking at AI for reasons, make sure you're taking advantage of a lot of the customization that's available in the cancellation flow itself from a copy and a content standpoint. Make sure that you're leveraging their A/B testing feature at the very least for that. Okay, so with Stay AI, now Stay AI's cancellation or retention engine is just a little bit different than some of the other platforms. And I'd like to kind of explain that. So with Recharge, you have one offer per reason. So if the price is too high, you can offer a discount, or you could offer a delay and discount, or you could offer an adjust frequency. So it's kind of like a one-to-one option. Stay Eyes is a little bit different. Now they have the retention platform. What they're able to do is you can actually list out a ton of different reasons. Stay will still just show one of them, but it's going to test a lot more things for you. So for example, if I was going to test the too much product reason, I could offer a 20% discount, offer a 25% discount, reach out to support, delay my next shipment. I could have 4 or 5. You could have 10 or 20 different reasons. And the Stay AI platform is going to use their AI to start testing those different options, and then it will start surfacing the winner for you. Okay. So the upside of there is they're actually testing for you in the background to optimize. The downside on that is that sometimes you want to be able to offer a couple options at the same time, which isn't necessarily possible with them or with Recharge. But that kind of like engine is unique to Stay and unique to their retention engine. And one that if you're on there, you want to make sure you're adding in multiple reasons, unless it's a very specific reason. Like for example, if it's, I didn't like the taste, you only want to have the swap option up there if that's all you want to have happen. Or if somebody's really upset about, say, like they had a shipping issue, you want it to be contact support. Or if somebody's like, hey, I don't think it works, you make sure you want to show them a benefits page around like why the product works the way it does. Those are examples of, if you just want to show one option, you want to make sure that everybody that selects that cancellation reason sees that treatment. Then just make sure you have one selected. Because if you have 2, 3, 4, 5, the engine's going to try to optimize for saves for you. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. You can embed content in their portal. There are some options where you can embed some of the like videos or graphics there as well. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Okay, SKIO. Now, SKIO is really interesting. They are similar to like the way that Recharge has their visual builder. SKIO is similar to that. Some of the things that I think are a little bit unique to SKIO that I think are pretty compelling is they also can do like the splash screen thing with the video element that we've talked about the other platforms, but you don't have to have a video. So you can actually surface an action before you show cancellation reasons. So for example, somebody goes to click cancel, you could tell them, hey, how about a pause instead? Or how about a skip instead? Before they even select their reason. And that's also where you could embed like a video from your founder talking about the subscription program. One of the interesting things about that, we had a brand, we just saw the test results for this. This is a 9-figure subscription brand that all they did was prompt the skip option instead of not even a video or anything else, but just showing that skip option, and their retention like had double-digit improvements, right? It was amazing, mind-blowing. Just offering somebody, hey, you need to skip instead, skip, boom, saving cancellations. So make sure you're leveraging that feature on SKIO. A couple of the other things I like similar to how Recharge and Stay, you have some control over content. SKIO, you do have a lot of control over content where you can embed videos or graphics depending on the cancellation reasons or even the treatments. So you want to invest a little bit of time tailoring those. But SKIO does allow you to do sub reasons, which I think is pretty compelling. So for example, like I'm no longer using the product. You could have sub reasons on there. Okay, somebody selects, I no longer use the product. Is the reason I never liked it? I didn't like the taste. I found a better solution. My doctor says I should stop. So depending on that sub reason, you can then tailor like a response to try to save that person, okay? You can also embed multiple save actions on a single cancellation reason. So if somebody says, hey, it's too expensive, you could offer a discount, you could offer a gift, you could offer reach out to support, all on that same one. And so you give people the option to pick the option that works best for them. I really like doing that because, you know, it's never just one thing that maybe is going to be what saves the day. It might be some different reasons for different people that's going to work. And then finally, they do have a really cool feature where you can choose to show a discount. If somebody followed a journey where there was no discount shown to them, you can still surface a discount at the end to try to save them. That's another cool thing that they do. Okay, finally, loop subscriptions. Now, one of the interesting things about loop subscriptions is they've gone a little bit deeper than some of these other platforms related to their cancellation flow analytics. And this is a little confusing, so I'm going to try to explain this to you, but they start to break out their cancellation flows by treatments, by offers, and by a benefits page. And so if you think about the cancellation experience, somebody is going to be able to see a benefit or a reasons why they should stay subscribed, and that might cause them to stay. If not, you can show them treatment actions like a delay or a skip or a support type thing. And then finally, you can make an offer like, hey, save 50% off your next order or take this free gift. So they start to break out which of these elements are creating saves for each individual question or reason that people can select. And so what's really interesting there is you can start to see breakdowns for things like, hey, if a product is too expensive, we see that the offer saves really well compared to some of the other treatment options. However, for something like, hey, I have too much product, a delay or a skip action might be better suited for a save as opposed to the offer, like offering them a discount at that point. Furthermore, something I really love about their analytics is they show the average number of subscription orders that are happening afterwards because of that offer. So for example, a test that we've run with a client recently is, I've mentioned this 50% off versus 25% off for 2 orders. We can see that even though the 50% off feels maybe a little more aggressive, the average number of subscription orders afterwards are close to 1, whereas the 25% off for 2 customers is at 0.45 orders. So the 50% off and the 25% off for 2 orders, they might save at the same rate. They might hit your margins in a very similar way, but the 50% off one results in people sticking around a little bit longer on average than the 25% off for 2 orders. That makes sense. Might be a little too nuanced for listening to a podcast, but that's one of the things I love about Loop, as well as the ability, similar to SKIO, is you can embed multiple treatments on a single page. Like all the platforms, you have a ton of control over content, which you can show people. We like embedding graphics, especially when we're talking about, like, say, something that's being used up. You can show a picture of what it looks like when it needs to be replaced and other things like that. So that's it for this week's dose. I hope you learned something when I was going through all of these different platforms, thinking through tactics or strategies to improve your cancellation flow save rate. But again, depending on which platform you're on, if you have specific questions about how to maximize those things, please feel free to reach out to me. We've worked with a lot of those and many others, but those again are the most common ones. Cancellation flows is kind of like a final thought. It's not something you should be living in every single day. It's something you should be checking in a couple times a month and be thinking through some optimization strategies so that you can either run like an A/B test or that you can try pulling out specific reasons and updating, say, your copy or your content or how you're trying to educate people. All right, that's it for this week's dose. Stay tuned next week for another episode of Subscription Prescription. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.